often wish that I was still a child. So many things change when we grow up. Innocence becomes lost, days become shorter. The nighttime still scares me. Playing house becomes a game of survival. Boys become men. Men become frightening. I become sad, worried, anxious, and self-aware. Being loved by someone will determine my worth. I no longer feel small next to the kitchen counter, but in the presence of everyone around me, forever loses its meaning. Everyone will eventually leave. When you're young, life feels like a storybook, one you can read again and again. But once you're older, you realize you aren't the reader at all. You are a character trapped inside the pages. And after the epilogue, there will be no sequel. In the following collection of poetry, the concept of impermanence is explored with a subtle reminder to live in the moment. You don't know what you have until it's gone in. A Blissful Oblivion by Pete Wilkerson, Jocelyn Ram, and many more. I will not smile as often as I did. I will not cry as little as I did. I will not feel safe in school anymore. I will not go outside and play anymore. I will try and pick the imperfections off of my skin until it is red and bleeding, push in my stomach whenever I walk, work myself into exhaustion, feel overwhelmed by every task, have anxiety attacks in public places, and wish that I was a child again. Isn't it strange how we notice things when it's too late? There will be no more midnight drives from hillside theaters, no more 2 a.m. dinner plans at Kirby Lane. We try and distract ourselves from the fact that we're growing up. This is the first time that I noticed the change in our silence. We are driving down nearly empty highways and leaving behind our time. We are no longer laughing, and this silence doesn't feel like it usually does. For once, none of us have anything to say. This is when I noticed how much I love driving down empty highways at midnight. Everything is slow, there's no rush, and for once, there are no expectations of me. I am finally truly noticing that there will never be enough time to tell you all that I love you, to hear you talk about science, to hear about your travels, to talk to you about your struggles, to drive and laugh and cry with you. Now we've grown up, and our distances will strain our years of friendships, and there will never be enough time spent with you. You won't live there forever. One day you'll leave this place and you'll take all of your things with you. You will decide what to keep and what to throw away. So when you're cleaning out your room, emptying your home, what will you do with me? But you will soon leave back to the place that you have been longing for, and when you get there, another woman will find her way into your veins. She will pull my hairs out from your carpet, wash my fingerprints from your walls, and throw out my skeleton that you kept in the closet. She will try to lay me to rest, but I will always be restless. I will be doomed to haunt a heart that never belonged to me, and to linger in the moment when our eyes first met. I cannot go back to the place that I have been longing for. Lately, I've been looking at the raindrops sliding down my car window and wondering what it feels like to be water. I watch the approaching headlights light up the raindrops like twinkle lights, and my heart began to ache for that childhood innocence, for the ability to believe in Santa Claus and his reindeer, and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy, and in the idea that I was always going to feel that happy. Lately, I've been watching everyone around me live, and I've been wondering what that feels like. My heart feels like a retired opera singer performing to the empty auditorium of my chest that she once conquered. I see my purpose as a single, insignificant star in the sky that I can never seem to find. Lately, I've been reading back on my old journals, comparing entries that are a year apart, side by side. This time last year, I say to myself. This time last year, I told myself that things would change. But the only thing that's changed is that I've made a jail cell instead of my home. I am a year older, but I still feel as anxious, exhausted, and defeated as I used to. Lately, I've been daydreaming that I love myself, about being happy and about not feeling out of place, about being where I want to be. This time next year, I say to myself. This time next year. This is the one mistake I can never seem to learn from. I have locked myself inside of my car in the middle of the school parking lot. I can still hear the ringing of the bell that caused us to scatter out of the school, like ants escaping from a disrupted colony. I'm no longer a fire ant, but a fish inside of a tank. I don't know how long I have been crying, but it feels like I'm drowning. You can't hear noises in the water unless you're below the surface yourself. I feel like I am the exhibit in the aquarium that everyone ignores because whatever's in the water is hiding under a rock. When my cousin was 3, he would have died if my dad had not performed CPR on his blue, limp little body after he was pulled out of the pool. Now he's 11, and he knows how to swim, but I don't have the heart to tell him that you don't need water to drown. Today, my shift at work ended, and on the drive home, I thought about how days end, and how on the end of this particular day, I didn't cry on the way home, because my sadness had temporarily ended. I started thinking about the ending of more things. High school had finally ended. Being a child had ended as well. Friendships have ended. And there have been times when I wished that my ending would come sooner. There were times when I didn't want to see another sunset, hear another morning dove, or get myself out of bed. Sometimes when I read, I would count how many pages there are between where I am and the end of the book. I wish that I could just be patient and enjoy things instead of worrying about when they're going to end. I think about the future too much. I think about the inevitable. And I wish that I had known when the last time was going to be the last time. Although it may be scary, although you may feel stuck, the clock will continue ticking. The sun and the moon will continue their exchange. Calendar pages will continue turning, and time will go on. You must trust the ways of the world. They have not failed you before. They will not fail you now. Trust the peace and the benefits that time